Okay, so in this video we're going to look at why use GoLang. So this is like an introductory presentation I often give when I'm asked to speak somewhere about Go. It's like, hey, why would you choose this language? And again, I think the main reason, the main thing that really, anyhow, we're going to learn about these things. I want to make sure I try to do a preview of each video. We're going to learn why GoLang and the reasons for choosing Go, and we're going to learn about the companies using Go. And we're going to learn a little bit about some people who are using Go, and then we're going to kind of see an example of a Chinese company and their server load and what they are able to do with Go, which PHP would not be able to do. And even Node.js and Python, I'd be interested to see how they did handling what this Chinese company's servers are doing. So let's take a look at why GoLang. And to get to this presentation, close tabs to the right. I'm going to go to the presentation link right here, which I gave you, and open up getting started. No, I'm going to open up why GoLang. So here it is. So Go has really great credentials, and that's one of the things which really attracted me. Well, that was the very first thing which attracted me to Go, is it just has amazing credentials. So Go is created at Google, and Google to me is the best software engineering firm in the world, right? Like they are the best, or at least one of the very best. And so Google hit a wall, and they weren't able to do things with all of the other languages that are out there. The other languages were leaving them disappointed, and they said, we need a new language. And the language they ended up creating was Go. So that really makes me take notice, right? Like one of the best software engineering firms in the world needed a new language because current languages weren't meeting its needs. So they created this language, and that language is Go. Like that's the first thing which really makes me take note of it. And then the second thing that really made me take note of the Go programming language was Ken Thompson, Rob Pike, and Robert Gressimer. And so these are some luminaries in computer science. These are like some great genius programmers who helped contribute to the creation of things like the C programming language, Unix, and UTF-8. And so, these are like some of the most fundamental bedrock things in computer science. UTF-8 is the most widely used coding scheme in the world. Unix and C are just like the fundamentals of computer science. These guys helped create those things, and now they've created something new. Whoa. That's like the other thing which really made me stop and take notice. So one, it came out of Google, and two, is created by Ken Thompson, Rob Pike, and Robert Gressimer. So these two things, to me, I say Go has amazing credentials, and that's the first thing which really made me stop and take notice of this language. And really, to me, I was like, I've got to learn this language, right? When I learned about that. So what is it about Go which is awesome? If you go to golang.org and then click on Documents, and then there's frequently asked questions, and then the first question here is, what is the purpose of the project? So I'm just going to bring this in so it's a little bit more readable and it's not quite so long. But now you could pause the video right here and you could read this, because this is a really great statement about the language and lets you know what Google was thinking when they created Go. And so just pause the video and take a gander at this. And then you could also click on this link if you want to read this article. This is a great article. Go at Google, language design in the service of software engineering. So fantastic, and really details some of the wonderful features about the Go programming language. So check those two things out. Check that out, man. If that doesn't look like the Matrix, I don't know what does. That's awesomeness in digital form right there. All right, so here's just the summary of that information. Go is super performant. You're not going to find a more performant programming language, except for maybe C, but then that's going to be really hard to program in. But Go is right up there with C. And one of the great things about Go is like all of the previous languages, system level languages, they were written to run on a single core. Well, we have new machines now, and these machines have multiple cores, and there's no language out there aside from Go, right? At least, that's starting to register on the event horizon. There's no language out there for all reasonable purposes that has been written to take advantage of multiple cores natively and well, except for Go. So that's the great thing about Go. It knows how to use multiple cores and scale horizontally really well. So it knows how to run concurrency really well and really easily, and doing concurrency is really easy in Go. except for the fact that it's concurrency. But actually executing it in Go, no problem. Super easy, natively baked into the language. Awesome. It's a compiled language, right? So it all goes down to binary. There's no like virtual machines, there's no interpreting. It's binary, right? So it's super fast and it's written to run really well in networked environments, right? And it's also garbage collected, so it manages all of your memory for you, and it does it in a really performant way. So they've really focused on making awesome garbage collection, so you don't have to worry about managing your memory so much. And it's got a really clean syntax. It writes almost like a scripting language, and it's got a really powerful standard library. So it's a systems level, low level language with a powerful standard library that lets you do a lot of high level things. So it's pretty awesome. And it'll compile to many different operating systems. You could be on one machine and compile it to run on a different architecture, and that totally works. So it's backed by Google, another one of the really strong reasons for me to go with Go. And it's also open source. They made it open source. So if you really get into it and you want to contribute to the project, you can absolutely do that. So here's a presentation that Brad Fitzpatrick gave, and he gave this at the Gopher conference in Tokyo. But this was just sort of like, his subjective perspective on how Go is arranged in the ecosystem of programming languages. It's fast and efficient for computers, and it's also fast and fun for humans. So it's really kind of like, here's the history of programming right here, right? And then, a lot of popular kind of other scripting things, which aren't as fast on a computer. So it's really kind of a sweet spot. And then also with concurrency, hey, it's efficient with concurrency, and it also offers really beautiful, straightforward code, right? Pretty easy to write. So it sits out there. So really, to me, stands apart. And these two slides represent my experience with Go too. That's how I feel about it. So again, here's one more statement about Go from Google. You can pause the video and read this one. But also, when they released it in 2009, this is what they said about it. In 2012, they had the standard version, or they had version 1 finished. And so at that point, they're like, okay, here's version 1, and they guarantee they're not going to break backwards compatibility. And so there was version 1, and then in 2015, August, they had version 1.5, in which the standard library was finished. So this is like the perfect time to be learning this language. It's starting to pick up a lot of momentum, and you're getting in early if you're somewhere near 2015 when you're watching this. Even if you're like 5 years out, still a fantastic time to learn the language. When you're learning it, it's the perfect time, right? Here's one more quote from Bill Kennedy, which talks about, a little bit about, I thought this was a nice quote about the Go programming language, so you could stop and read that. And then here's one more from Caleb Doxey's book, which kind of has a lot of the buzzwords for how would you categorize this language. So you could stop the video right here too and take a look at that. So here are some companies who are using Go, right? Because why learn a language if nobody's using it? Google, YouTube, Apple, right? Here's the job announcement where they're looking for Go developers. Dropbox, and then here's an article that they posted about open sourcing their Go libraries. All of these companies, so you could stop the video and take a look at those. Docker, Flipboard, Firefox, The Economist, Getty Images. The New York Times is huge into Go. Gov.uk, Heroku, MongoDB, IBM, GE Software, Intel, GitHub. I don't know why I always space when I see that. I don't know. Twitter, Facebook, they use it at Parse. Square, Halo, Uber, Nokia, Yik Yak. I'll stop reading them. Tumblr, maybe I won't. Thumbtack, Remind, Medium, Maldives, love that picture. It's huge in China, right? And then all these other companies, I'll just kind of pop through them. And this isn't, of course, everything. It's just sort of a sample of many of the different companies that are out there using. And again, you could open this presentation because you now have access to it and you can look through it a little bit more slowly. But I'm sure you're seeing names you recognize. And it's like, whoa, who knew, right? And so another thing that really stood out to me about the language is I was kind of looking for a new server-side language to teach web programming. So I was thinking about Python, Ruby, Node, and and then Go was in the mix. So I was just kind of like thinking, which one should I go with? And I heard about this article right here, and I think you could click this link. and it'll take you to the article. You can. And so this is by TJ Hollowaychuk, who's an amazing programmer who lives on Vancouver Island. I don't know why I'm including that anecdote, but because I really like that island, and he was one of the primary contributors to the Node.js code base, like one of the primary contributors, and he left Node for Go, and he's not the only one, right? And so here is Felix Gassendorfer, and he was also a significant contributor to the Node.js code base, and he also left Node for Go. So for me, like the guys who built Node left for Go. That's a great reason not to go to Node and a great reason to go to Go. And so what other language can you do all this, right? Web app, script, system admin, image processing, load balancer servers, crypto hardware, and even in beta, they're creating libraries to allow you to do Android and iOS apps. So instead of knowing a bunch of languages, Swift, Java, Go for websites, you just need to know one. So how awesome is that? So here's the Chinese company that gave an anecdote at a conference, and you can check this out right here at the Go blog at golang.org. So another great resource to reference and to read about things, the Go blog, and you can just get there by Googling Go blog, right? But here, this company runs 400 servers, 200 million real-time connections, whoa, and sends 10 billion messages daily using Go. That's amazing. So do less, enable more. That's kind of like one of the mottos of Go. And if you learn Go, you'll start getting job offers from all over the world. Here's the most recent one I got from some Chinese company. Pretty awesome. So a little bit of review. GoLang is awesome. Holy crap, a lot of great companies are already using Go. And you should have already learned Go a year ago, but at least you're learning it now. And here are some of the sources which you could reference when you open the presentation for where I got a lot of this information. All right, so that's it's a little bit about why GoLang and reasons for choosing Go and companies using Go and people using Go, bye-bye Node.js, and a Chinese company's server loads. Some cool stuff about why you should choose Go.